If you want to understand the boundaries of the universe, you must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Welcome to Nikola Tesla Files. The car that drove itself with a single thought. New York City, 1933. A small electric car sits parked on a busy Manhattan street. Inside, there's no steering wheel, no pedals, no controls of any kind. A man stands beside it. He's wearing a strange device on his head. Copper coils wrapped around a helmet. Wires hanging down to a box he's holding in his hand. He closes his eyes. He thinks. He focuses his mind on a single image. Forward movement. The car suddenly lurches into motion. It accelerates, turns left, turns right, stops, all without anyone touching it, all controlled by nothing but the man's thoughts. The witnesses standing on the sidewalk can't believe what they're seeing. Some think it's a magic trick. Some think it's electricity hidden in the pavement. Some think they're losing their minds. But one man knows exactly what he's witnessing. A policeman who watched the entire display later wrote in his report, "I saw something today that I will spend the rest of my life trying to explain and will never fully understand." That man was Nikola Tesla, and he had just proven something that modern science is only now beginning to accept. The human mind can directly control matter through electromagnetic force. But here's the terrifying part. The government saw this demonstration, and they made sure it would never happen again. The theory that changed everything. Tesla's entire life was dedicated to understanding one fundamental truth. Consciousness is electricity. Thought is energy. The human mind generates electromagnetic fields that are as real and measurable as any force in nature. He didn't just believe this philosophically. He had proven it experimentally. In his private laboratory, Tesla had constructed devices that could detect the electromagnetic signature of human thoughts. He could measure brain activity without any electrodes, without any direct contact, just by detecting the electrical field the brain produced. But then came the breakthrough, the moment that changed everything. Tesla discovered that these electromagnetic fields produced by thought weren't random noise. They were coherent, organized, structured. They followed mathematical patterns. And more importantly, they could interact with external electrical systems. Your thoughts create electromagnetic patterns. These patterns can be detected. These patterns can be amplified. And these amplified patterns can be used to control machines. Tesla realized he had discovered the bridge between mind and matter. The missing link that would explain how consciousness could directly influence physical reality. He wasn't the first to notice this. Ancient mystics had written about it for thousands of years. They called it telepathy. They called it telekinesis. They called it the power of the mind. But Tesla could prove it scientifically. The neural interface that should have been destroyed. In 1932, Tesla constructed what he called his cerebral interface device. It was crude by modern standards. Copper coils, vacuum tubes, mechanical switches. But it worked. The device detected electrical patterns from the user's brain. It amplified these patterns, and it converted them into control signals that could operate electrical machinery. Tesla began experimenting with this device in secret. He didn't want publicity. He wanted to perfect the technology before revealing it to the world. First, he controlled simple machines. A light bulb that turned on and off by thought. A motor that spun faster or slower depending on mental focus. A solenoid that would activate or deactivate based on the operator's concentration level. All of this worked. All of it worked perfectly. But Tesla wanted to do something bigger. Something that would prove beyond any doubt that the mind could control matter in the real world. He wanted to control a vehicle. The 1933 demonstration. The moment the future almost happened. Tesla found a willing participant. A young engineer named George Scherf, Tesla's assistant and the only person he trusted with this technology. Scherf had been working with Tesla for years. He understood the technology. More importantly, he could focus his mind with the clarity required to operate the cerebral interface device. They modified a small electric automobile. They installed Tesla's neural interface system inside. They removed all conventional controls. Then they took it to the streets of New York. Multiple witnesses saw what happened that day. They saw Scherf sitting in the driver's seat wearing Tesla's helmet device. They saw the car accelerate without anyone pressing pedals. They saw it turn corners with no one steering. They saw it navigate traffic with precision and control. It was impossible. It was beautiful. It was the future. A New York Times reporter approached Tesla after the demonstration. "Mr. Tesla, what you've shown us today defies belief. How is it possible?" Tesla smiled. He had waited his entire life for this moment. "It is quite simple," he replied. "The human brain is an electrical generator. It produces organized electromagnetic patterns. I have merely created a device that reads these patterns and uses them to control machines. One day, all machines will be controlled this way. There will be no steering wheels, no levers, no physical controls, just thought and action, just mind and matter merged into one." The reporter's eyes widened. "Do you mean to tell me that you can control anything? Any machine? Anything?" Tesla confirmed. "Any machine, any distance. With the proper equipment and sufficient mental focus, a person could control a machine on the other side of the world as easily as they could control their own hand." But the reporter never wrote the story. His editor killed it before it could be published. Why? Because within hours, Tesla received a visitor, a government official, a man in a dark suit who never identified himself. The conversation lasted 15 minutes. Tesla never revealed what was said. But after the man left, Tesla told Scherf, "They will not allow this to continue. Destroy the equipment. Erase the files. Burn the notes." "But sir," Scherf protested, "this could revolutionize humanity. This could free people from physical limitations." "Exactly," Tesla replied quietly, "which is precisely why they will destroy it." The cover-up begins. Within days, government agents arrived at Tesla's laboratory. They claimed to be conducting a routine inspection. In reality, they seized every piece of equipment related to the neural interface device. The car disappeared. The helmet disappeared. The control box disappeared. All of Tesla's notes on the project were confiscated. Tesla was told, in no uncertain terms, that if he ever attempted to recreate the neural interface device or publicly discuss the 1933 demonstration, he would face legal consequences. National security, they said. Public safety, they claimed. Tesla, now an old man with no resources and no allies, had no choice but to comply. The demonstration that should have launched a revolution in technology was erased from history. The newspapers that had sent reporters to witness the event suddenly had no record of ever covering it. The photographs that witnesses claimed to have taken disappeared. The engineer George Scherf was quietly transferred to a classified government facility and never worked with Tesla again. But the technology didn't disappear. The government had seized it, and they began developing it in secret. Project MKUltra. Mind control goes military. By the 1950s, the CIA was deeply involved in researching mind control technology. The official project was called MKUltra. The public reason was to develop interrogation techniques. But declassified documents reveal a much darker purpose. The CIA was studying how to implant thoughts in people's minds, how to remotely control human behavior through electromagnetic signals, how to create what they called remote-controlled assassins who would commit murders at the operator's command without any conscious awareness of what they were doing. And the theoretical foundation for all of this came from Tesla's work on the neural interface device. The CIA obtained copies of Tesla's seized notes through channels we still don't fully understand. They studied them, they analyzed them, they built upon them. By 1960, they had successfully demonstrated remote mind control on laboratory animals. Cats with implanted electrodes in their brains could be made to walk, run, sit, or attack on command. The electrode would stimulate specific neural pathways, and the cat would obey. But they didn't stop with animals. There is credible evidence that CIA researchers conducted remote mind control experiments on human subjects. Institutionalized patients, political prisoners, people who had no ability to resist or complain about what was being done to them. One classified document that surfaced during the Church Committee hearings described an experiment where a subject's motor cortex was stimulated with electromagnetic pulses, causing them to move their arms and legs against their will. The subject remained conscious throughout. They could see themselves moving. They could feel themselves moving, but they couldn't stop the movements. They had lost control of their own body. The modern reality, neural implants, and the end of privacy. Today, neural interface technology is no longer classified military research. It's emerging into the commercial world. Companies like Neuralink are openly developing brain-computer interfaces. The stated purpose is to help paralyzed patients regain mobility. And that may be partially true. But the underlying technology is identical to what Tesla developed in 1932. Amplified thoughts controlling external devices. Neuralink's neural implants read electrical signals from the brain and convert them into commands that control computer cursors, robotic arms, or other machines. The technology works. It's being tested on human subjects right now. But here's what nobody talks about. If an implant can read your thoughts and convert them into machine commands, then theoretically an implant could also work in reverse. Could inject thoughts into your mind. It could implant ideas that you would believe were your own. Could control your behavior without your knowledge or consent. And here's the terrifying part. We have no idea how many people might already have these implants. They could be invisible. They could be wireless. They could be installed during routine medical procedures without the patient ever knowing. This is no longer science fiction. This is the inevitable conclusion of a technology that Tesla discovered over 90 years ago. The thoughts that aren't yours. Imagine waking up in the morning with a sudden urge to buy something you've never wanted before. You walk to the store and make the purchase without understanding why. Later, you realize the same purchase was being heavily advertised online. Is that coincidence? Or is it neural influence? Imagine feeling a sudden burst of anger at a political figure. You express this anger on social media. You vote against them. Later, you realize you'd been reading stories about them that were specifically designed to trigger emotional responses. Is that manipulation? Or is it something more sinister? The technology exists to make these scenarios far more targeted, far more precise, far more unavoidable, and there's no way for you to know if it's happening. This is the future that Tesla inadvertently created when he built his cerebral interface device. A future where the boundary between your thoughts and external control becomes blurred. A future where your mind is no longer solely your own. What happened to the 1933 car? After the government seized Tesla's neural interface equipment, the vehicle disappeared from public record. But there are hints about what happened to it. In 1956, a researcher named John G. Trump, who worked for the Army Signal Corps, was assigned to examine some of Tesla's confiscated papers. Trump was Thomas Edison's godson and had direct access to classified government facilities. Trump's report, which remained classified for decades, contained a single intriguing sentence. The wireless transmission of motive force through controlled electromagnetic induction represents a military asset of incalculable value. The phrase motive force is another way of saying mechanical movement. Trump was describing the neural interface vehicle. Further investigation suggests that the government built a fleet of remotely controlled vehicles based on Tesla's design. These vehicles could be controlled not by thought, but by radio signals transmitted from a distance. They were used for military reconnaissance. They were used to test the technology, and they may still be in use today. Military analysts have noted that many of the autonomous vehicles currently being developed by the Department of Defense bear an uncanny resemblance to Tesla's 1933 car. Not in appearance, but in fundamental design philosophy. Are these vehicles truly autonomous? Or are they remote-controlled by operators whose presence is hidden behind layers of artificial intelligence and automated systems? The truth remains classified, the future that Tesla feared. In the last year of his life, Tesla became increasingly paranoid about the neural interface technology. He understood what it could do. He understood the potential for abuse. In a letter to a friend, found after his death, he wrote, "I have given them a tool that could free humanity from the prison of the body. Instead, they will use it to imprison the mind." Those words, prophetic and haunting, capture the tragedy of Tesla's greatest invention. A technology that could have liberated humans from physical limitations has instead become a technology of control, of manipulation, of the ultimate violation of human autonomy. Tesla spent his final years trying to destroy his notes on the neural interface device. He burned papers. He destroyed prototypes. He gave conflicting information about his discoveries to different people, hoping that the true technology would be lost in the confusion. But it was too late. The government had the information. The technology was already spreading beyond his control. Today, nearly a century later, that technology is becoming part of ordinary life. Neural implants, brain-computer interfaces, the merger of mind and machine. And we are all walking blind into a future where thoughts might not be our own, where machines might control us as easily as we thought we were controlling them. Tesla's thought-controlled vehicle was just the beginning. It was the proof of concept. It was the moment when the boundary between human consciousness and technological control became permeable. Everything that has followed has been an elaboration on that single demonstration in 1933. Everything that is to come will be the fulfillment of Tesla's greatest fear. Not freedom through technology, but slavery through it. The only question remaining is, will we recognize the chains before they become impossible to break? Tesla's final warning echoes across the decades. Be careful what you allow into your mind. It may not be entirely yours. Remember that the next time you have a thought that feels like it came from nowhere. Remember that the next time you feel compelled to do something you didn't plan. Remember that the technology to control your thoughts exists, and it's more advanced than you ever imagined.